Supernatural Season 9, Episode 20, Bloodlines. Now, when I first went into this episode, I didn't know that it was actually a backdoor pilot for a series. When it first came on, I thought, oh, that was an interesting opening. They did the first couple of kills, and it actually took 5 minutes before that took place, before the people actually died. And they showed the guy who's going to be one of the main characters in the spinoff. His girlfriend dies and stuff, and it was like, okay, they're establishing that there's going to be a lot of stuff in this episode. That's just what I thought. They were going to talk about how there are the families fighting each other off, and then this character was just looking for revenge as well. And I just thought all this is going to be in one episode, and that's it. And then I'm going through, and it's like, okay, this is one of those episodes that just doesn't happen to have the brothers in it a lot, which they did in the one episode where the girl ends up becoming a werewolf. Most of that episode, like that episode actually had them in it way less than this one does. They were kind of on camera a little bit, and that was about it. This was more of a normal episode where it wasn't from a specific point of view from random cameras, like a lot of found footage movies or anything. This was just a regular episode. They just weren't in a ton of scenes, and I thought it was just one of those episodes. They just weren't in it for some reason because it focused on a lot of these different details and stuff. And then I thought, I'm pretty sure this is for another TV show, because I remember too when the originals had sort of a new show come out, which was the originals. And then I thought back to the backdoor pilot episode that they had in the Vampire Diaries, and I thought that episode focused a lot on Klaus and stuff, but it made sense for that show because he actually left, and he was basically the big villain of the series, so it did actually make sense that he left, and they spent an episode on him. It wasn't anything super out of the ordinary because he was in the show all the time. As where in Supernatural, it was just two random guys who were in it a lot, and I thought, okay, now I get that this is a backdoor pilot for a spinoff show that is going to be Supernatural Bloodlines, or Tribes, I guess. That was another name that I saw. But it was interesting. I didn't think it was incredibly well done or anything like that. There was some interesting stuff. One of the things that I actually enjoyed, that I thought before I realized that this was actually a backdoor pilot, was that the kid who's looking for revenge, he finds the silver bullets in his dad's gun case. I thought, oh, he's gonna find out that his dad was a hunter. I thought that was just a cool thing, and he would find that out from Sam and Dean, because especially when Sam mentions the silver bullet stuff, I thought that's probably gonna come up later in the episode, and he'll mention that, and they'll say, well, even though we don't really want you to get into this, it's technically in your blood, and we know what that's like because our dad was a hunter, and we grew up this way, and even though you didn't, it's kind of in your blood, and they give them some speech like that. But it turns out that all that information, because it was a backdoor pilot, will be answered in that show. And it seems interesting enough. Honestly, the biggest thing that did make me want to watch it was the ending, because apparently his dad's alive. And I always like stories like that. Some people, I was reading comments and stuff, some people thought it was super stupid and cliche, I guess. But I always love stories like that. Like, why did you leave your kid if he's clearly alone? He mentions at the end of this episode, he has an aunt or a sister who lives across town, but it's really just him. His father died years ago. His mother died when he was a kid, so even younger, or she left or something. I wasn't really paying attention, but he's basically on his own. So why did his father leave? Why did his father become a hunter? And maybe we'll get more hunters coming into the show. And I think that's one thing we could get, is a lot of hunters in one show, where in Supernatural we get Sam, Dean, we had Bobby's friend, and every once in a while they'd be like, hey, here's another character that we know, or here's a random hunter here or there, or they mention a person's name but you never actually see them. Maybe in this show we'll get some of those characters that they mentioned, or we'll just get new hunters, because it's a city where 5 different families are trying to take over, and they need a lot of hunters for that type of thing. So it'll be interesting to see if this show gets a lot of viewers. I'll give it a shot, like a lot of people are going to, because it's a Supernatural spinoff, and also it does actually seem interesting to me. There are a few plot points that I thought were really cool, like the fact that the guy who's soon to be fiance who died, like I said, his father is a hunter, and also his father's not actually dead. So that's a cool storyline, I think. The whole family of the shapeshifter, who's an alpha shapeshifter. I think all the families are alpha families because the shapeshifter family, he's able to change shape without shedding skin, which means that their bloodline is pure, as his brother mentioned during the whole little flashback thing with the werewolf girl who was able to turn at will. And I think that also means that their bloodline is the alpha bloodline as well, so they're stronger than the normal ones that we get to see. And I can't remember exactly what the other families were. I only remember them mentioning three out of the five, which was the shapeshifting, the werewolves, and the jinn. And I can't remember what the jinn do. um, I feel like that's the one that has like the weird, nasty gray sickle, but I could be. I'm pretty sure I'm wrong about that. I think that's something completely different. But I don't think they actually mention what all five of the families were. But it interests me at least. I think it's very interesting the concept of it, where some of the families are simple, almost like street gangs, and then the other families, which would probably be the werewolf family and the shapeshifter family, they're really structured like the Godfather type family, where they have ties to this and that. As the shapeshifter mentioned, we own the police and this and that, and it was just really interesting. So I'm curious. I'll definitely check the show out. We'll have to see how things play out for it and how the characters mesh together. We have the more serious character who's out for revenge, which once again, a lot of people hated that. They think it's super cliche, and it kind of is, with him losing someone. And especially the way she died, I thought it was kind of dumb because she got hit. She got pushed up against the thing so hard it killed her. Also, finding out that it was a human in the episode and he was the one that pushed her, that made it less believable for me, because I know you can hit your head really hard, and if blood comes out, that typically means you died. It made 100 times more sense when I thought, oh, this is a guy, this is some supernatural being. I knew it wasn't a werewolf because you could just tell, and they were obviously trying to frame the werewolves, but I thought it has to be something supernatural, and that's why it has so much strength that it could push her against that gate, and she hits her head so hard she dies. And then it turns out it's just a guy, and he somehow pushed her so hard against the thing that she died. It wasn't like she fell and had more momentum. She just went flat up against it like a wall and hit it so hard she died. And that really doesn't make sense, because no one is that strong when you really think about it. Your head's not just gonna hit the thing and just bleed from a human pushing you like that. You just cannot get pushed that hard, especially not from that far away. It was like she had a couple steps before she hit it, and she just would not have died. It didn't really make sense. It wasn't exactly plausible. But that was one of the things they do. They do tie that up where the guy does get revenge, and it was actually one of the big moments of the episode where we find out that this character is human and he lost his son, so he's trying to start up a war and have them kill each other. And then when the guy finds that out, he just kills the guy right there. And I thought, holy crap, he didn't have any problems with that. He just, you killed like the one person I had outside of my aunt or sister, and you, she was just in the way, and you just took her down and killed her. I'm gonna take you out. And he just shot him and killed the guy, and it was like, done, that's it. And they let the werewolf and shapeshifter go. And I thought that was a great part of the episode. It was just interesting how dramatic that was and how serious it was, because it was one of the few episodes where the human was actually the bad guy, especially considering that this character isn't just a hunter who kills demons all the time or monsters. He just lived a normal life until his girlfriend got killed, and it ended up being by a human, and he was just mad, and so he got his revenge, and that was it. But interesting backdoor pilot. The shapeshifter character I really like. I think he's really funny. That's why I like him. He's also one of the originals from the Vampire Diaries, which I wasn't 100% sure because he's not in it too much because his character died in that. So I was like, I'm pretty sure that's him, and it is him. I think he's really funny. He plays a comedic character in the Vampire Diaries as well. He's just super sarcastic because he's one of the bad guys. But in this, he's actually one of the more good characters. And I find his storyline actually really interesting, with the inner struggle within his own family, not the loving the werewolf and their families not allowing that. I don't give a crap about that. They'll find some way to be together. That's it. But him actually having to find some way to honor his father who is sick and dying, and his sister wants to go to war because her father is sick, so he can't run the family, and their older brother was killed, so he's no longer the lead, and she's trying to go to war and wipe everyone else out. That plot line I enjoy because he has to find some way to take control of the family, but if he pisses her off, she'll just have somebody just take him out, or at least put him in some sort of holding place or whatever. So that storyline, as far as his character goes, is really the most interesting part to me. Is them not having to deal with the other families, but him having to deal with his own family. I found interesting, but overall, interesting episode. I'm curious enough to check out the pilot. I don't think it sucked. The episode itself, as a supernatural episode, was okay. I mean, it's hard to judge it as a supernatural episode considering it was a backdoor pilot. It had Sam and Dean in it, so that was nice. And it did end leading back into the main story, which I found out we do only have 3 episodes left after this, and that was one of the big things I read about when I was going through some comments. People are really upset that this was put in towards the end of this season because it's the end of the season. Why didn't they just do this really early on and then do main episodes after that? And I understand that, but it really brings up a lot of questions as to what is or is not going to be fixed in the season, because I was really curious with the plot lines they have, what are they going to finish first? Because I never really thought that they would solve both problems, even from the very beginning of this season. I never thought that they were going to solve both the angel and the demon problem in this season. I thought they have what they need for Abaddon, so they have to find her, and then they really have nothing on the angel front. So I always thought they would have to sort of solve the demon problem first, but they might solve the angel problem first. Who knows? And it'll just be interesting to see which plot line they finish and how they tie that into the second season, because whenever one gets affected, the other has to, especially if it's the demons who get defeated first. It'll definitely affect what happens with the angels. I feel like if Metatron gets defeated and the angels go back to heaven, it won't have nearly as much of an effect on the whole demon storyline. But if Abaddon at least is taken out first, I think that'll make a huge difference as to what the angels do on Earth, rather than just following Metatron or trying to run from him. They'll just be like, hey, why don't we just take out demons and show Metatron that we just deserve to be in heaven or something like that. We don't have to follow him. We'll just kill demons and just show that we deserve to be in heaven. But there are only 3 episodes left, so I'm curious to see which storyline they really go down. I mean, they mentioned Metatron, so they'll probably take the angel route for the rest of the season, but it might be angel, demon, some weird combination of both for the season finale. But either way, I'm excited for this season to wrap up, and I'm curious to see, because like I said, it's not like any other season we've really had where there's been one storyline and we just follow that path, and then it sort of goes up like the roller coaster any series does towards the season finale. It's really just been like, I don't know, sometimes it's not even on the track, and it's just one of these one-off episodes, which they've had. I feel like this was the most they've had since literally the beginning of the series, where it was just kill this monster in this episode. A lot of these episodes this season have just been one-off episodes that have little bits and pieces to do with the main storyline. Like in the last one, where it was really just them with the sheriff, and they were just killing off vampires, and that was really it. Nothing to do with the main story. Dean did his little cane thing where he fought against the vampire with his strength. Excuse me. And that was really about the only thing that tied into the main story. And then they have had other episodes where it was the exact same thing, where it didn't really tie into the story. And they've had, I want to say 4 or 5 of those. I think 2 of those were really good, though. One was the Wizard of Oz one. I really enjoyed that way more than I thought I would. And the other actually did have a huge bit of importance, which was the one where it was Dean's backstory when he was a kid, when he actually ran away or was flat out left in that sort of foster home. That was a one-off episode that was without a doubt the best one this season, and it was one of the best episodes in the entire series as far as I'm concerned, because it's been 9 seasons. We're in the 9th season now, And that was just a really good episode because it gave us backstory that we never had. It gave us a time in Dean's life where he was actually a normal kid and was getting everything he wanted, and right when things were great for him, his dad came right back with Sam and he just had to take off. But spin-off episode was okay. Gonna check it out. Can't wait for these last three just to see how the season wraps up. But comment below, let me know what you guys thought of this episode. Favorite parts, least favorite parts. And obviously the biggest question is, did this spin-off or did this backdoor pilot episode convince you enough to at least check out the first episode? Comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.